Hey everybody, it's your girl Keisha J. Kelly with another episode of Black College Experience. Y'all, I'm super excited about the guest that we have today. I thought I was busy, but this one, I swear, she's always gone, always all over the place, always doing something great, always doing something wonderful. One of the people that I truly admire. She's always she's the epitome of excellence. I say black girl magic. She's a competitor. She's everything that you're not and everything that you want to be. Listen, she is the true definition of the female. Literally, the future is female. We have none other than Dr. Kiki Barnes joining us tonight that I'm gonna bring on. And we got so much I wanna delve into. I was reading the background, just super excited. God, there's so much stuff. I don't even know where to go, but I'm super excited to bring her on. So I'm not gonna hold her up because I know she's busy anyway. I know she got something going on, so I'm not gonna hold her up. But I'm gonna go ahead and bring Dr. Barnes on.
Woohoo!
Look at her. See, tell us where you at, Dr. Barnes. Thank you for joining us. Tell us where you at.
I lost you. You froze up a little bit. Is it me?
I'm still there. I hear you.
Okay. All righty. I'm trying to make sure my internet's not cutting up.
Listen, me too.
For once in a lifetime, I am at home. I'm in my living
What?
room right now. Yes.
I thought
This
you
is
were
a
out
huge
traveling.
win for me.
I thought you were traveling. I truly did. I thought you were traveling.
I leave Friday, but right now I'm at home.
Well, first I'll say thank you so much, Dr. Barnes, for taking time out to sit down with me. I know you have a busy schedule. It's so many exciting things coming up going on in your conference. You have so many great things that you're doing. So we just gonna roll it back, scale it back.
Okay.
Let's take it back to the college time. You know what? No, let's take it back to high school. Did you play sports in high school? Let's start there.
Hello. You were
Uh-oh.
frozen for a minute.
It don't want to do right. Did you play high school sports, Dr. Barnes?
Yes, I started playing basketball in middle school. So seventh
Yeah.
grade is when it all really kicked off for me. And I wasn't any good. Like I honestly still can't believe I went to college on a scholarship.
What position did you play?
I was a guard, small forward, and that's very funny when you think I was like 5'8", 110 pounds. Like I was thin. Like it's really weird that but I was one of the tallest on my team somewhat. So I was playing between the 2, 3, 4, sometimes at the high post in high school. But I knew when I went to college, like I knew I was going to be able to fully be a guard. But man, I looked at some old video from some of those first games we played in junior high. Oh my God. To see that I actually evolved to be a decent player, I think that's for me and all my teammates. Like, it's insane.
Well, at least you can acknowledge it because a lot of people will just be like, I was good. They'll just take that I was good and just roll with it. And they'll be like, yep,
No,
I was really good. No.
no, 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 not at all. I was shooting the ball from here. It was awful. But you know what? I gotta say, I had a great coach, Coach Elliot Gilbert. My best friend's dad was our coach, and he believed that you went hard. Like nobody got cut. Like we all went to try out. Everybody made the team. He didn't cut
Wait,
nobody.
was he one of those coaches from like the neighborhood?
Oh, he was old school. Like,
Okay. Okay.
hey, he could teach anybody the game. If you come to work, you come to practice every day. He really Well, I really appreciate that he taught us the fundamentals of the game. I learned how to
Mm,
dribble. I learned how to shoot. I learned how to play defense. Like all of the fundamentals that I needed to eventually become a decent basketball player, he taught me
mhm,
those. Um, and so it was, and I, well, me and everybody that was on the team, and we happened to have some ambition. Like my teammates, like we were competitive naturally. I always wonder where that competitiveness comes from, but we were a group that wanted to win. Like that was
mhm,
important to us. We weren't happy when we didn't succeed. And so I believe that the combination of getting a whole bunch of people who decide losing isn't an option, um, and doing the work, having a great coach, someone to teach you, I think the
mhm.
combination of those two things, is what really set us up that when we got to high school, it was, I would say reaping season. We were starting to see some of the fruit of the labor that he had done with us as he was teaching us the game, and saw our game start to flourish. And all you have to do is get a couple of wins under your belt, then you start getting some confidence. And when we get some confidence, now no, can't nobody beat us now.
So you went on to play in high school.
Yep.
Any accolades?
Yeah. I mean, we went to state my sophomore year. I think I made honorable mention all state that year.
Anything in high school?
Can you say that again? You were breaking up a little bit.
Oh no, you were saying that you said state and honorable mention. You said y'all did have championships that year.
Well, so we wound up making it to the state, like it's called the Sweet 16. And so we were one of the top four in our divisions, and we lost in the semifinals my sophomore year. It was like our first taste that, like, oh man, we could really be really good. We made it to the finals and lost by 3 my junior year, and made it to the finals again and lost by 3. A shot at the buzzer. Freshman, never played the whole year. Everybody's just throw it up. She shoots it from almost the timeline, a half court from here, like she just hauled it up. It was like a Hail Mary, and it went off the backboard and went in, and we lost my senior year. If I had one moment in my life that I've never gotten over, that's the one. Never got over it.
And how Dr. Barnes?
I didn't hear your question. It froze a little bit.
How long ago was that you haven't got over it?
Girl, that was 1993. That was 28, 27, maybe 30. No, that was 30. That was 31 years ago now. Because I just celebrated my 30th high school reunion last year. Girl, I ain't over it. I still, like, we were supposed to win. We were the favorites. Golly. I don't want to think about it no more. But you want me to tell you who was
And
on
here
the
I go
team?
bringing it up. Here I go
Look,
bringing it up.
you want me to tell you who was on that team? The
Yes.
team we were playing against, Elaine Powell.
Wow.
Elaine Powell was a senior at Carroll. I was a senior. We both made first team all state. We both played in the Louisiana All-Star game. Elaine had fouled out. We knew we had that game won because she was the leading scorer, the best player. And I think she won Miss Basketball that year, like for our year. So I think she was like the player of the year. But we had fouled her out. We knew we had this thing in the bag. And all I can think, Elaine wound up playing for the WNBA. She finished at LSU. She coached at
Mhm.
Grambling. She was an assistant, I think, for some years. I can't remember if she became head coach at Grambling, but she definitely was in the SWAC at some point.
Mhm.
Um, that girl could play. Man, but I still like I just think I'll never get over it. Like I said, 31 years. Still like we should have won
And
that
I took you
championship.
back down memory lane. I took you back to the
Woo!
place. It's
Oh,
okay. It's okay. All right. Now let's go to college. Let's go to college. You get on to college. Let's talk about your collegiate playing time.
yeah. So I went to South Plains College. So, one of the things, going to a junior college because of my
Mhm.
size, it made sense for me to develop a little bit more. Even though I was a top player coming out of high school, playing the 2, 3, 4
Mhm.
kind of hurt me somewhat from a recruiting standpoint. And I would say that I still needed more development. I needed some strength and conditioning. Like I wasn't very strong. I was really fast. I could jump really high because I was super athletic. I did track too. I won state in the triple jump. So I did achieve my goal of being a state champion. It just was in track and not basketball. But,
Mhm.
when I decided that I was going to go to, yeah. So this is a funny story I'll tell you. So my senior year in 1993 was the year that Cheryl Swoops broke Larry Bird's record, I think, for the most either threes in a tournament or in the space. I can't remember. She broke a record, and
Mhm.
Texas Tech won the NCAA women's basketball championship that year. And Cheryl Swoops wore number 22. I wore number 22. The lady that the junior college that Cheryl Swoops went to was South Plains College. The coach was talking to me when I found out that Cheryl Swoops, number 22, like me, went to South Plains College. In my brain, I had 3 visits that day. I had already decided I was going there. I was like, if Cheryl wore 22 and I wear 22, and if Cheryl went to South Plains, then I'm going to South Plains. And then if Cheryl go to Texas Tech, in my brain, I was going to do the exact same thing. Go to South Plains, play 2 years, and go transfer to Tech. The only problem was I couldn't get that number 22 jersey. So I decided to go to South Plains College after I went on all my visits and thought this was going to be the spot for me. This was the place where I was going to get a chance to grow. And I was hoping maybe that Cheryl might happen to just show up on campus. She never did, but she wound up, I think going overseas somewhere playing ball. But I was sure hoping she would come back and visit us.
By some chance, just drop in on campus and boom, here comes this Swoops. By some chance. So,
Yeah, yeah. So it was
so
fun.
now,
2 years
yeah,
there.
okay, okay. And
Yep.
so
And then
then after the 2 years, what happens after the 2 years?
yeah, I transferred to University of New Orleans. And funny story, I always tell this story. So I went on a visit to LSU. Um, and it just so happened that 2 of the people, Elaine was one of them that I played against at high school, was at LSU. And then there was another young lady, Kia Howell, who played at Wasman High School in Louisiana, which was also, we had a 3-way tie my senior year for first place in the conference. We
Mm.
beat we beat Wasman twice. Wasman beat Carroll twice. Carroll beat us twice. So it was it was insane when we and our path to back to state. We had to go through Wasman in the second round to get back to state. We had to play Carroll in the finals and lost to them for a third time. Like Wasman lost us 3 times, we lost to Carroll 3 times. I was like, you know what? All the talent was in North Louisiana that year, is all I'm gonna say. So I go visit LSU. Kia and Elaine are there, and I know them because I know they can ball. I'm like, all right, they got ballers here. But the question is, do they have the deltas here? So I'm like, man, they ain't got no deltas. So I'm like, ah. So I'm like, well, I'll think about it, right? Go on a visit to UNO. I'm excited. I meet my best friend in life now, Twala Power. We beat Twala and we beat them in the semifinals in high school to go to the finals, right? My senior year. Twala had signed with UNO like right out of high school. So like there was like all of this, like, UNO signee playing the Mendon Lady Tigers. And I remember really being upset because I was like, but we the home team though. So why y'all writing about old girl in New Orleans when you got you
Right.
you got a superstar right here? So I remember realizing she wore number 22 too. So I'm like, okay, I remember her. We also competed against each other in high school. So when I saw her, I was like, oh, I know she can ball. And I'm getting excited about potentially being at the University of New Orleans. The other thing that was really cool at that time was UNO was in the Sun Belt Conference. So La Tech was in the
Right.
conference. La Tech is 30 minutes from where I live. They did not recruit me. And I felt some kind of way about that coming out of high school. I was like, how am a top player and I ain't even get a letter? They ain't even call my coach. They ain't come to a practice to see me play. I know they know about me because I was on the All-Star team. So I felt some kind of way. So when I found out UNO was in the same conference with them, I was like, okay, now I can really see if I am what I believe I am. That's one. So I'll get a chance to go toe to toe, and I can let that coach wish he would have recruited me. That's one. Number two, I get to play with another girl that I respect, and that can go, Twala. And number three, they got deltas on the campus.
Like they got the deltas. They got the deltas.
But and I laugh about this all the time. So, I transitioned from playing and I started out as a coach, and thinking about, I said, man, was I the only person in college basketball making a decision based on Greek life? I mean, like, if you told somebody today, you got LSU, you got UNO, they be like SEC all the way. They SEC. I was like, they ain't got no deltas. Yeah, I'm out.
You like, nope. And it's so funny because it's funny how people choose their colleges. You'll never know how people choose their schools. And that's funny because to hear you actually say, hey, this is how I choose, like you had a list,
I had a
but
list.
that was still on the list. That was on the list.
It was on the list.
It,
It was non-negotiable. Like if you ain't had deltas, you was automatically coming off the list.
so did you pledge there? Is that where you
Yes, I
pledged?
did. I pledged
Okay.
in the spring of 1996. There were 9 on my line. I was number 8. One of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
We
I got
meant
to
it.
join my mother in the sisterhood, and it was a dream come true for me.
See, and where did your mother pledge?
Grambling State University, Delta Iota chapter.
Okay, so she's a Graham. Okay, so she's Graham fam. Okay, okay. So now that we so what accolades if any did you win while you were in college?
Um, so I don't recall making like any all conference list. I wound up being a very good I was a starter. Like I started on all the teams I played. I was
Mhm.
chosen to be captain of the teams at both my junior college and at UNO. I wound up being a team captain. I won like our team awards. Like I won best defensive player for our teams, but I didn't have the what I would say is the kind of individual personal success in
Mhm.
college like I had in high school, which
Okay.
again was okay. I just wanted to be Louisiana Tech, and we did that. 66, 63, I had 11. I shot the last shot. I remember scoring like 3 in a row, and Coach Barmore calling that timeout because they was like, get her. And I was like, I earned my respect. I rest my case. I rest my case. I,
You
I,
the coach did, yeah, yeah.
that's all I wanted personally. Like this was my own personal thing. I just wanted that man to respect me and acknowledge that they missed out on one. That's it.
Yeah. And so they had to see it. You had no
Yeah,
choice but to face it. You had no choice but to admit you
yeah.
missed out. Did you ever talk to that coach?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I mean, because once I transitioned from player to coach, I coached, my first head coaching job was at Southern Shreveport, Hey, Southern Baton Rouge was my first full-time job. So the Southern family, I would say responsible for almost helping me get basically kicking off my career in coaching. Well, I went to UL first as a GA, but my first full-time job was Southern Baton Rouge. And then I transferred to Southern Shreveport for my first head coaching job. So my, that's been a part of it. But what I'll tell you is it was, man, I was at that JUCO and I had a kid La Tech wanted. So Coach Barmo came to the gym. He was talking to me about my kid, what he was trying to do. They wanted to sign the kid. So I had great relationships with 4-year schools because that was really important to me getting kids to come to
Mhm.
Southern and Shreveport when I was there for those 2 years. If they knew they could come to Southern and
Mhm.
go anywhere,
Right.
like this is a no-brainer. So yes, I had opportunities to talk to Coach Barmore throughout that coaching time. Of course, once I transitioned out of coaching, I didn't have the same relationships. I worked at summer camps during that time. I worked Pat Summit's camps. Um, And as I think about it, Tasha Butts passed this year. I remember working the camp when she was a student athlete. And it was
Mhm.
crazy. I remember us having a conversation. I remember her wanting to pledge. It was the conversation. She was like, "Oh, you're a Delta." I must have had on something Delta working the camp. And it's like, yeah. But, they was at the Final Four every year. So, that life that lives wasn't set up for them to do anything outside of play basketball. But
Correct.
I remember that story, and I have a picture with her from one of the camps, and I was like, man, I never would have thought though all those years ago, this would, this is kind of how her life would end up. But yeah, it was some fun times. It was insane.
So y'all hear how full circle moment this is. We talked about Southern University Baton Rouge. That's home. That's me.
That's your home.
You talked about Susla, Southern University Shreveport. Guess what, everybody? In the conference is Suno. So it's like a full circle moment. It's like a full circle moment with all of Southern University. And so starting with that first head, or as you would say, like that's your first head coaching job. What was that like?
Man, it was, you know what? I had a lot of energy. I was very excited. I felt like I had something to prove because
Well, you
I was
still energy. You got the energy now. Like the personality, the energy is it's there. It's still like a coach. It's still there.
well, I was 25 and
Oh
I felt
yeah.
like, yeah, I felt like I had something to prove and I had to earn it, right? Like I didn't want them to think that they had made a bad choice in me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was probably some of the best times I had because I had the opportunity to actually like just show what I could do. Not
Mm-hmm.
only was I the head coach of the basketball team, but I was over the cheer and the dance team too. And that year, during my 2 years that I was there, the Jazzy Jags dance team that we had an opportunity to go to Bayou Classic and perform on stage with some artists. I don't even remember the artist, but I remember it was the first time it happened. I was like, Southern Shreveport was never present, not in that capacity at the Bayou Classic. So I was like, baby, the Jazzy Jags are there. I made that happen. Matter of fact, the crazy part about that is Mayetta Shaw was my captain. Her and one of my former basketball players, Kim Weaver, they were captains of that team. And Mayetta's from Shreveport, went to Huntington High School, and I don't remember which one of them housewives groups she wound up being on. I don't know if it was Atlanta, but Mayetta was a part of that group who performed at Bayou Classic. That was a member of the Jazzy Jags dance team. So that was so cool. So we got to do that. There was a festival that happened in Shreveport where we had the opportunity, our Jazzy Jags dance team had the opportunity to be perform. Like there had not necessarily been this opportunity for us to be involved in something like that. So I was really excited about getting the Jazzy Jags there. On the basketball side, I was building rapport with the local community because in Louisiana at the time, community colleges weren't seen as really credible. Like when I went
Mm-hmm.
to a junior college, people was like, but did you really go to college, right? Like, did you really go to a
Mm-hmm.
credible basketball program? They had no idea that the Texas college system was so far advanced. Like
Mm-hmm.
I played in a dome like that sat 3,000 people at my junior college. We were sitting on an oil field. When I tell you facilities, I was like, this is a junior. In my brain, I was like, this is. When I think about junior college, I think that junior college should not equate to a bigger college because they don't. I'm thinking it's more commuter because
Correct.
all of the community colleges in Louisiana at that time, Delgado, Southern and Shreveport and Bipsy were all commuter schools.
Oh yeah.
Southern Shreveport had just built that a gym. But before that, they were playing at like Green Oaks High School, which was like right down the street. It was a predominantly black high school in Shreveport that was like down the road. So the experience that Louisiana people had with community colleges and perception was just so, they wouldn't even talk to you. So now I'm having to do the work of educating I would say the Arklatex, so Northwest Louisiana, East Texas, South Arkansas. That's the Arklatex area. On, hey, junior college is a real option, and because the area, that particular area, the Arklatex, most of those people are very rural. Like my town, Minden, where I'm from, was the city. It's like 13,000 people there. How's that the city? People coming to Minden. Like, are you kidding me? Like, people came to Minden like, oh, we going to Minden. Like, are you kidding me? Because most of those people are from towns. Like, it's
Right.
communities of people that just live together. They may have a mayor and somebody. So
Right.
helping them understand that this community college route could be a bridge. Instead of going straight to some big old campus with thousands of people, you could come to a smaller campus. They could get acclimated to being away from home. They would get a lot of support academically, and they could compete in a competitive way and be able to leave there and go to another school, because that's what happened for me. And so helping, part of my job also in rebuilding that program was also helping people to think differently about our athletics program and what community college could offer a young student athlete. And
Right.
so that was a lot of fun. I wound up
Mhm.
partnering with a good friend of mine who used to do these, what do you want to call them, like showcase events.
Oh
So
yeah.
we did a showcase event at Southern at Shreveport for all of the Arklatex. People could come from 2-3 hours away. I invited JUCO coaches, like all the coaches I knew. I was like, hey, we're gonna have a showcase. There's talent. Remember, I graduated from there, and like for that
Right.
year, like all of like North Louisiana basketball during that time was a hotbed. You had Elena Beard coming out of Southwood. Like Southwood was winning championships every year. So you got those kinds of people around. I
Mm.
mean, there was my group that came through. There was another group out of Byrd High School in Shreveport. What's that? Pelican, I can't remember. I think Pelican High School is like an all black high school. It's a town, like it's a community.
It's not. It's a town.
It's a like, but they had kids coming out, Bienville, Arcadia. Like there were all these small towns. North Louisiana got buku talent. Nobody knows about them because they in the town. And unless
Yeah.
they wound up making the state, they might not have
Hmm.
got picked. So I was like,
Correct.
let
Yeah.
Southern Shreveport be that for you. So
Yeah.
this is helping me build goodwill. This is
Hmm.
getting more people to Southern University Shreveport's campus. So from an enrollment standpoint, I'm helping
Oh
build
yeah.
the brand of the institution. And to my colleagues, I'm like, man, I'm gonna be nice and share our talent with y'all. How about that? So this is, I would say this was like, when you think about what I'm doing now, I was
Right.
like, I'm, I was made to lead, and I was made to build coalitions and collaborate.
Correct. And that's the crazy thing, because you said one of those things. You talk about the branding, you talk about the building, and you talk about the collaboration. And so that's one of the things we that we can see that you haven't lost. You have not lost. It's like it's still there. And so again, it's like a full circle moment. You talk about Shreveport, you talk about Baton Rouge, and then now you have New Orleans that's actually Suno that's actually in that conference. So I know it was a lot of proud moments, a lot of great things that you did. What would you say is some of the most memorable moments from coaching at Southern University, Baton Rouge, and at Shreveport? I always just say Sussler. It's just Sussler.
Let me think about it. So Southern Baton Rouge, I only had really 10 months because
Okay.
coach. I went there knowing that it was the final year of his contract and he
Okay.
potentially might not get renewed. So I knew that going,
Okay.
but football season by far, and Pete Richardson was the head coach.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey,
Absolutely.
that dog day D, ooh, oh my, oh,
Everybody know about the dog day D.
oh my God. I'm gonna tell you who else was there. Dooley was an assistant on that staff.
Yep.
Met him. Roman Banks, the AD, and I shared an office at that time. He was the assistant men's basketball coach for Tommy Green, and I was the assistant women's basketball coach. Me and him was in an office together. I'm trying to think of who else was on that. There's somebody else from that staff that I think wound up going to Grambling at some point. Oh, what's his name? Coach Kadol was still there doing his thing with baseball. Man, when I tell you that was some of that dog day deep. When I tell you they did not play, they did not play. And it was so much fun. Now, because we was
Absolutely.
doing basketball, I ain't get to go to Bayou Classics. I remember being mad about that. Like, why we schedule a game during Bayou? I couldn't understand how that happened. I was like, ain't no basketball supposed to be happening somewhere else, in my personal opinion, during Bayou Classic. That because I wanted to come party.
Right.
I was still young, right? Like I was 22, 23 years old. And because I
Oh
was in New
yeah.
Orleans, I had gone to Bayou Classic every year while I was in New Orleans.
Yeah. Right.
Southern and Shreveport, I think I said all the things like that I was pretty proud of. The whole having them perform at Bayou Classic and getting us involved in things outside of the campus. We almost beat the number 3 team. Trinity Valley was actually number 1 team in the country. My first year, they whooped me by about 50, 60. But once I recruited some players, we led all the way up until like the last 3 minutes and wound up losing by like 5. And that's the game Baltimore came to. And all I could think was, now you may have missed out on me as a player. You might not want to miss out on me as a coach. Because in 2 years, we up here competing already. So I would say the how quickly I was able to get us competitive, I was really proud of that. That showed I could recruit, and I could coach a little bit, a little bit.
Just a little bit. But you were able to compete with coaches with those, and we know that recruiting is a heavy game. That's a heavy game. Recruiting major.
It is.
Recruiting is very heavy. That's one of the most heavy.
Yeah, recruiting is about relationships. You have to. One of the things that people don't really realize is you have to talk to everybody. Like you, even when coaches don't have players, they need to see you. They need to hear from you. If the only time you show up is when they supposedly got a player, you ain't getting that kid.
That's true.
That's true. So a lot of times, like when you would hear people say stuff like HBCUs don't never show up, it'd be like, hey, you got to be in the gym. I used as a strategy. I always showed up at practices, so I wasn't in the gym having to compete against everybody else. Like you want to find ways where you can be the only one in the room, so the kids will hear from you. So I would say to a coach, hey, I just want to come to practice. Let me come talk to your kids. What you need me to tell them you can't say and they not listening? Let me come in and talk to them. Coaches love that. They will always be like, thank you for coming to talk to the kids, because they always be cutting up because they know, right? Or somebody in their family telling them they know, so they ain't listening to the coach. And I would come in and say stuff like, one of the things I'm looking at when I'm recruiting is whether you listen to your coach. All of a sudden, the kids looking like, you can see the guilty ones. You already knew who was guilty. I could tell by the way they was responding to what I was saying. Like, y'all think y'all gonna get these scholarships? They gonna listen to your coach, but you can keep on with that attitude if you want to. You'll be scratched off my list, and I'll be moving on to the next person on the squad. And so, doing those kinds of things for coaches helped me get in the door in ways that people be like, "Well, how are you in this kid?" That's because I've been there.
So, and I do. Even though I'm not where you are, I see so much of what I do and what you different, the different way to talk and deliver stuff. We just have a different way that we can talk to people, talk to coaches, talk to athletes. It's just different. It's national. It's just different. And people often have those questions. How did you? And I was like, it's just a genuine, authentic, it's just how it is. It's nothing
Yep.
different. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like
Yeah.
you were competing with guys a lot? A lot of the male coaches? Do you feel like it was a lot of competition with recruiting with a lot of male coaches?
No. Let me, I'm only
Okay.
I'm only competing with myself. That's all I'm gonna say. Like I when I show up as my best self, it's hard to beat me, is what I'll say.
Yeah. That is, like I said, we know recruiting is heavy, but that is, because to be able to do that and in the gym and have cute kids, because once they adapt to you and they fall for you, they locked in. Once you get them to buy in, they locked in.
Yeah.
Kids buy into whatever you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. And what I'll say is that, recruiting is hard because you're not
Go
just
ahead.
recruiting the kid, you're also recruiting the mama, the daddy, the auntie, the uncle, the AAU coach, the godparent, the brother, the sister. Like, you really are recruiting the family. And so I will
Correct.
say that what coaches have to experience right now that you got NIL, it's going to be a lot different because we making money deals. I think that's harder for schools who don't have money if they're
Yeah.
looking for a payout. So even if a person
True.
authentically could show up, you can't. It's going to be hard to compete with somebody with a blank check.
That's so true. And I don't talk. So now you got to really sell it. You got to really, like you said, family. Everybody got to be sold on to why this person should come play, or why this person should come be, at this conference or whatever it is. So now
Yep.
let's pick out the moment you became what is about to change from GCAC officially by one. But talk about that moment when you were named the commissioner, because I still remember moment. It was a grand moment.
Oh man. I don't know. It just felt like it was the next
Yeah,
step in my
yeah,
journey. I
on
had
yourself.
been
Don't be bad.
I'm not being bashful. What I'm saying is I began leading the GCAC in 2010. So even though I didn't have the role of commissioner, all the work that was happening to move the conference forward, I was doing that. So much so that when I did my first address as full-time commissioner at our meeting that summer of June 2022, I set up the story to walk through kind of all the things that had
Okay.
happened and how we got to this point where we were. And when I got to the end where I said, here we are today, I had a link to the minutes from 2010 when I started, and I clicked on it and I opened it and I said, here's where we are. So everybody's looking like, huh? Because that's say 2010, and they see all these people that were involved in this conversation. And there were 3 agenda items. What do we want to do with our name? Do we consider ourselves still Gulf Coast? 1. Second agenda items. If we're going to consider expansion, do we want to have divisions? And here are some proposed divisions for East and West. And I can't remember the third one, but everything that was on the 2010 agenda was the exact same agenda for 2022. And what I said to them is, what you have in me is we've been there, done this, but we didn't succeed the first time. And here are the lessons learned. So the next slide was, here were the lessons learned from the very first time we tried to do this when I was your leader in 2010. And so I walked through 2, 3 things that wound up impacting us and why we weren't successful the first time, and said, as we move forward now in this direction from the strategic plan that I've submitted, it's been approved by the Council of Presidents. Here are the things we're going to focus on over the next 3 years. Here are the things we want to avoid because we have evidence from the last time that it didn't work. So we already know not to do that. And this is one of the things that I think that's important in leadership. Like, sometimes you can learn what not to do. Failure is not really this bad thing. It's a way to eliminate options that don't make sense. So if I tried something and it didn't work, okay, all right, that's eliminated. Let's move to the next option, or let's move to the next solution, and let's implement that one. Let's see what happens. And so now that was 2010, that was 2022, 12 years later, same agenda, looking to be successful this time moving forward. We're going to avoid the things we did last time that didn't work for us. And now we're going to forge a new path forward. And, so for me, again, so when the appointment happened and it was like formal that I'm actually going to leave an athletic director chair now, I'm saying bye-bye to being an athletic director now and stepping into this new role of commissioner. For me, I was walking the path that had already been laid for me. And now I had, one, the benefit of failing and messing it up the first time and wasn't nobody really paying attention. I have the benefit of all that knowledge to now move us and know exactly what we need to do to be successful. And so I feel like, hey, I'm walking the path that was destined for me.
And so who was the first person you called after you got the information? After you got that appointment, who was the first person you called? After they named you commissioner, who did you call first?
I don't remember calling nobody. Maybe my mama. People started calling me, girl. Because my husband was involved in the conversation. Like we were negotiating, so he already knew this was gonna happen. So I didn't have to call him. But I don't remember. But I just remember, like, social media went crazy. My phone, everybody just sending me congratulatory notes. And I think the coolest, I would say, the happiest I was with the colleagues who had been on that journey with me. So Jarvis Stephen was at Russ, Keith Barnes, Tougaloo, Rod Smothers Jr. was at Philander at that time. And I would say, like, that was my circle, right? Those were my brothers. They were the ones who had been with me through all of the drama and all the things that didn't go our way. And like at no time, I was the only woman in the conference. Like they allowed me to leave for all this time. You got to think about how awesome it is to have colleagues who be like, Kiki, yeah, that's our girl. Whatever Kiki say, that's what we own. Like you don't leave without the people, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I think what makes me most proud is, as a woman in a male-dominated industry, that for the most part, I always had the support of my male colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell you that if people started talking crazy about me, I feel like they would go to bat for me. They'll be like, yeah, you can go on with that. And not only from that, but even my chairs, my Council of Presidents chair. So Dr. Hogan was my chair. She was president at Tougaloo in the earlier years. Then it eventually, Dr. Hogan, then Dr. Smothers was my chair for former Philander president for can't remember how long he was president, but for at least 3, 4, 5 years, he was my chair. I've had the support of just amazing people who just said she can get it done and we're going to support her. And, we have a lot of conversations around sexism and racism and those kinds of things. But I will say that, and I've said this and I've been trying to figure out how we start having this conversation at some point. But some things that we see as isms is really not what it is. Like we show up in spaces with insecurity sometimes, and
Okay.
we don't always. It ain't always because you're a woman. It could be that you just not really good
Hmm.
at what you do. You haven't
Ooh,
you haven't actually earned the trust of the people that you're leading.
that's true.
You haven't, and some people will say, and this is just a personal leadership philosophy for me. I have always believed that my title means nothing. All respect is earned, whether you have a title or not. So it's one thing
That's
for them
true.
to say I'm the commissioner, but have I earned
Hmm.
their trust? Have I earned their respect? Like I as a coach, I
Hmm.
felt the same way. I had to, and I'm gonna tell you, my players are the ones that taught me this. I remember my second head coaching job at Dillard. I'm the athletic director and the head coach, and these kids bucking with me. Like I'm trying to understand, like, well, I'm the person in charge. I can say what I want to say, and you're supposed to do what I say do because I am the athletic director. I am the head coach, and they looked at me like, we don't care. They really, they really did not care. And I just was like, you know what? I was like, we really have to reassess power and what it means to lead. And so I just kind of feel like if it wasn't for my kids honestly rebelling and telling me, coach, you out of order, and that was disrespectful what you said to me and how you said it to me, and I don't have to take that from you, coach. They were the ones that helped me to learn that lesson real quick. And I was like, you know what? I got to do better. Like, I've got to do better. So I had to do things like say, I was sorry, say, hey, I was out of line and I'm going to do better. And you can trust me. If I'm telling you that I'm going to do better, you're going to see it in my action. So that when I ask for the same thing, then they would deliver that. And kind of from that point on, my leadership philosophy has been I don't need a title to lead. But I can tell you that when you've earned the trust of people, when you're willing to have the tough conversations, when you're willing to hear things that you don't want to hear, when you create the space, for people to really be honest, we can really grow together, and that they will even trust you even more, and they will give you the power to lead them. That's me. Now, again, that's my personal philosophy. I believe it could be very helpful.
Hmm.
And so when you lead with, I'm going to respect you, I'm going
Hmm.
to give that respect, I believe that that can come back. And so sometimes I think we blame some of our isms on just not really being effective leaders. And I think it's a space where we really, because what I will say is just like there are fundamentals to coaching basketball, there are
Hmm.
fundamentals to leadership. And
Hmm.
one of those is not being disrespectful to the people you expect to listen to you.
Correct.
Now, understand that I cuss people out, but there's rules around when that happens, right? It's not no random. Like, like people that became a part of my spirit, they know the triggers. They be like, "Hey, if you want to stay on the good side, let me tell you some things you don't want to do, right? Because if you do this, that's gonna get this, and be consistent, right?" So I'm
Right.
consistent, but I mean, I'm just not gonna take anything. But we can always debate. You can always speak freely. We can move forward. But if we done had our debate and we done decided we moving forward and you want to keep on, oh well, now I got to deal with you. And because I was because I was brought up with coaches. You just gonna learn to get over it. I mean, I was a tough cookie. I learned not to hit some stuff like you gonna get it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't no problem with that. But ain't nobody gonna really fuss because they'll be like, but we told you that. And you
Yeah.
was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It,
I probably should have said that. Lord, I'm gonna get in trouble.
it's okay. And listen, they'll know. So this is their warning to not come for Dr. Bowens. This is your warning.
No,
Like she's telling you,
no. Like
don't.
and I will say that I am a person that's very focused on the end goal. We can only be
Correct.
friends if we working towards the goal. If you're not doing that, then like, why are you here? Like
Yeah.
I am not the leader that you're gonna be friends with and keep a job because we friends. Like
Mhm.
we're only friends if you do your job.
Correct.
Period.
Yeah.
My obligation is to the organization that I serve, not to you. Now,
Yeah.
people may say, like, dang, you have to say it like that. Well, at least I'm honest. At least we understand what it is. Now, that's not to say I haven't developed some really great friendships with people that I've worked with.
Hmm.
But what I will tell you, number one, if I was asked to lead the organization, I was given a directive on expectations on what the policies are, what the mission is, what the vision is, and
Yeah.
everything that we're doing has to be in alignment with that mission and vision. That's the job
Hmm.
I was given. I'm going to perform that job to the highest of my ability, and at the point that I can't, then I'll move on.
Correct.
But if you think that being friends with me is gonna get you a job, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
You actually have to be good at what you do. That's how I win. So the people I have around me winners. That's why we win. I ain't winning
It,
because
it,
I ain't
it's
winning because I'm great. I'm winning because I got a great team.
it's so funny because I'm looking at the comments and and Jared said, noted, don't get on Dr. Barnes' backside. Danielle said, I'll cut off an ear over my commissioner. It's so they're working with firsthand, so they know. They already know how you are. They
My people.
already know.
I love my
We getting the
people.
honesty. We
You
getting
gonna
the
get
honesty.
hey,
I'm sure it is a. I'm sure it's a joy working with you. And then you think how hard you work and how much this conference is flourish and all the things that you want to see.
I didn't hear your question all.
One of the things I know you guys use the name. This internet just don't. It's great at questions over here. So
Oh,
I know, you've had a lot of accolades while you've been in this position. You've been named after director of the year before. You've been named a lot of different, had a lot of different accolades that fall since you've been in this commissioner space. Talk about some of those accolades since you've been named the commissioner.
um, so it's so interesting, right? Like what motivates me is not
Hmm.
awards. What motivates me is actually achieving the goals that I set, right? So if it's to grow the conference, achieving the goal is the
Hmm.
accolade for me. Like that is the self-satisfaction or the gratification that I get like I did it. Whether somebody cheered for me or not, whether someone gave me an award or not, is really inconsequential because I work for the purpose of doing good work, making a difference in the world. And what I feel like
Hmm.
happens is like I do get constant awards for doing great work, but it's not the reason I do the work. So it is always so interesting to me, um, when someone says, "Hey, we're gonna give you an award," because I'm like, "Wow!" And now I love them. Like, don't get me wrong, it's so cool because I got a whole trophy case. I done created a Kiki
Didn't we just
museum.
do a
Like, I
commencement? We
got
did a
all.
commencement, didn't we?
Oh
Didn't
man,
you
that
just
was
do
the
a?
honor
Did
of a
you do a
lifetime. Like
commencement?
that was the honor of a lifetime. So I will tell you the most special moments for me when I think about all the awards I've gotten have been awards that come through young people who I
Hmm.
impacted. So, for instance, I can't remember what year this was, maybe 2015, 2016. There was there was a movie that came out called The Boss with Melissa
Hmm.
McCarthy, and there was a promotion that whoever the marketing company that was hired to do that said that as part of this rollout to get people to go to the movie, where they were going to do in select cities, they were going to honor local women who they thought were bosses. They were going to host a red carpet special preview of the movie, and then of course honor these bosses locally in as a part of this whole marketing rollout. They chose DC, Chicago, I think Houston, Atlanta, and New Orleans. Well, it just so happened that one of my student workers, one of the young men who was one of my student admins that worked with me, his mom happened to be on the promo team. So
Oh wow.
he hears his mom talking about we looking for local people in New Orleans and bosses, and he was like, "Oh, you gotta get Dr. Barnes. You gotta have Dr. Barnes on this. She's amazing." Yeah, da, da, da. And he's telling all this stuff about me, right? So I get a call from someone who at that time reached out to my commissioner at the Steve, who was the commissioner, saying, "Hey, can you give me Kiki's number? We're trying to get in touch with her about an event." So the lady calls me, is like, "Girl, these people from Hollywood saying they want to honor you." And I remember thinking, Hollywood, like how somebody from Hollywood know about me? Like it don't make no sense to me, right? But the company was a promo company who worked for these big Hollywood companies, right? And this mother of the son that worked for me works for this company.
Mhm.
So I get the call. I'm like, oh my, this is exciting. They were honoring the girl at that time who was, I think, legal for like the Pelicans. My former modeling agents, when I was doing modeling in college, I had an agency. She wound up being a soror too. So she was on the list. I think Tanya Boyd Cannon, who was on The Voice, she's a local. I mean, I feel like Tanya's national, but she's a local homegrown from New Orleans. So I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna be honored with all these people. Now I don't know at the point that I get honored that my student assistant at the time, Miles, is the one who was advocating on my behalf. But
Mhm.
finally, the event comes. Miles is there. Dr. Kiki, he hugs me, so proud of me. I want you to meet my mom. My mom went to Dillard. Didn't know his mom was a Dillard alum. His dad went to Dillard. Didn't know none of this. And they start to tell me how he was like, "Oh, you gotta have her on this list, and she's this, and she's that, and she's this." And they were like, "Well, we gotta meet this Dr. Boyd because all he does is talk about Dr. Boyd." So I'm sitting up here, so I'm getting honored nationally in such a cool way because one of my students that I work with decided I was worthy. Like, come on, man. So that was one. Number two, I always wanted to be in Essence. So this year I'm featured in the January, February Black History Month Essence magazine. I get an email or a tweet inbox from former student athlete at Dillard, Pledge Delta, former all GCAC volleyball player of the year, who had just started working at Essence as associate editor. So I remember, telling her, "Oh, so proud of you. Keep up the great work." She's like, "Dr. Barnes, can you send me your email? I need to talk with you. I need to get you some info." So I get this email from her with her team. We're thinking about something. Can you get me some information? Can I get this? We've got something we've got in mind. Now she don't tell me what she got in mind. Just I'm
Right.
gonna add my team in, and can you just get them what they have? So I'm like, sure, okay. This is like in October. I send them the information. I ain't even remember nothing. I remember them sending me something. "Hey, we're just trying to check to make sure your bio information is stuff is okay." She don't tell me they doing a whole Essence Women in Sport and that she had pitched this whole idea and that they want to honor these women in sport. She don't tell me none of this. I get a picture from somebody saying, "Oh, you in the magazine." I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. Where's the magazine? How can I get one?" And I'm trying to figure it out. But it was a student. The people that I do the work for, every major opportunity for me to have my brand, a former student did that. I was in tears. I was floored because that's not the reason I do the work. So for a student athlete to come through, for
Mhm.
two of them to look at me and say, I get to see her up front, and I always make jokes about this. I was like, your kids know you better than anybody because your kids see you when you ain't got makeup on, and I got good lighting right now. You know, I got good light, got my makeup, I got my good face on, using my good voice. See, them kids get to see me walk every day. So if my walk was wayward, they would know. Not only would they know, they would not co-sign or they would not support me publicly. So for those particular opportunities to
Mhm.
be really celebrated, so I, I, I don't know. If you had to tell me what were the two most special moments, those are two of them.
I can't can't even
breaking
imagine
up.
because even now listening to it, it's like chills. It's I
It's
said now
insane.
I can't even
Oh, I was floored, tears
imagine. It
falling, crying.
was just I can believe. I mean, like you said, that shows the respect and the love and what you've done for those student athletes or what you've done for those students.
You breaking up, Keisha, a lot. I'm not sure. I'm hearing every other word. I don't know if it's me.
It just speaks volume.
Did you hear me?
I want us to be great. All right, Dr. Barnes, minute is
I
good.
don't know. You froze up on me. I don't know if
I
I'm
hear you now.
frozen or if you're frozen.
That's what I said. They just don't want us to be great. It don't want us to finish this interview. It just
Oh, we gonna finish though.
it's just doing the most.
So,
Oh yeah.
but am I coming through clear to you?
It, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's talk about the name change from GCAC to HBCUAC. Let's talk about the name change. If I got to repeat it every time, I repeat it.
Okay, we're talking about the
The
name
name
change.
change. About this.
Okay, I can see you a little bit. See your eyes moving.
Let's see if I put this here in this chat. Can you see this chat, Dr. Bourne?
I clicked on private chat, so I think if you type something there, I'll be able to see it.
Okay, let's see here.
Now I can hear you typing good now.
See, you see, that's just crazy. That's just crazy.
And I can hear you good now. I don't know why.
Crazy. Okay. We talk about the name change of the conference. I don't know
Got
what's
that
going
part.
on.
Yes, I got that part. Now, what do you want to know about the name change? You just want to kind of know how we got there? Hey, y'all, I think she frozen right quick, but we going to be back.
So,
Nothing you're saying is coming through now if you can hear me. Thanks, Doug. I see you in the comments. We appreciate you. It's going to get all right. The good thing is, not really scared of technology messing up on us, so we going to be all right. We going to be all right. Mm, mm, mm. Anybody got questions in the chat I can answer while we waiting for Keisha to come back? All right. So Keisha's giving me questions in the chat. So she asked me, wanted to know a little bit about how we got to the point of wanting to do the name change. So I think I was kind of sharing just a little bit earlier to you all that,
Did I catch you? Did you check?
yeah, I saw you in the chat. So yeah. But one of the things that we were contemplating was that we were expanding outside of the Gulf Coast. So initially, when the conference was chartered, we were only schools in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, which of course, Gulf Coast, right? Makes so much sense. It's regionally appropriate. However, as we were starting to expand into Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina, Virgin Islands, Ohio, Arkansas. We had expanded from that 3 states to now 8 states and one U.S. territory. And so we thought it would be really, really important for us to consider a new name that would be in alignment with this level of expansion that we had for the conference. And so we were really, really, really excited about having that conversation. And so we were able to get with a company, 1035, I think a Black owned PR company, a marketing company out of Atlanta, through a recommendation from one of our Council of Presidents chairs to explore what a potential name change, an update, refreshing to the branding could look like as we were making these new bold statements, these new bold moves for the conference. And so that's kind of how we got started with the process. We got approval. We did an RFP. We put the RFP out. I think we wound up having 3 companies who submitted RFPs for the opportunity to work with us. Again, after having that conversation with the Council of Presidents, we had those companies present at our summer meetings in that June. And during that summer meeting, we were able to get feedback from coaches, from ADs, SIDs, FARs, from the entire conference constituency. We were able to get some feedback on a company, and then we submitted recommendations to our Council of Presidents, and we're able to move forward. And so from that point on, I would say it took us a year to go through the process of doing focus groups. So the company did focus groups with our Council of Athletic Directors. They did focus groups with our coaches groups. I even think they did a session. I feel like they did a session with the presidents, but I can't remember. They did a session with us, the conference office staff. And so we were we had the Association for the Student Athletes group. So we had the opportunity to have all of our student athletes, just everybody had an opportunity to throw out names, to say, well, what do you feel when you think about the conference? Like, and to really get into what this new direction would look like for us. So it was super, super cool. When we were able to finally get all that feedback, the company comes back, they give us this presentation where kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen those brainstorm maps where people say certain words, and as the more a person says a certain word or feedback they get, the words get bigger. It's like some type of word cloud. And so in that word cloud, you could see all the things that were resonating with the different groups about how they feel about the conference. And so we had that going on. But the other thing that was happening was it was the year that Wakanda Forever was coming out. And so there was all this nostalgia from Black Panther and kind of what Black Panther, the whole Wakanda meant to the Marvel universe, right? The Marvel universe was, Wakanda was like this hidden gem, all these resources, all these amazing things happen. But remember, in the Marvel universe, to the world, it was almost like they were non-existent and primitive, right? Because they had kind of cut themselves off from sharing their resources and all that they had the with the outside world. So you could start seeing conference office, us, and members starting to identify with this whole idea. Yeah, we're a hidden gem. We're like Wakanda forever. We are very much like that. And trying to figure out, well, how do we create a name and a visual identity that we feel like we could connect with? And then the coolest thing happened. We had the opportunity to do an activation with Disney. I'm sure we were the only HBCU conference to do an activation with Disney for Wakanda Forever. And we hosted a preview watch of the movie. And so we turned it into our own, like, welcome to Wakanda, welcome to our conference. We had members from our royal courts show up like in their crowns, and, Mr. and Miss Tulu, I think I remember, were there. Mr. and Miss Suno were there. Also, we had the court show up and do interviews. We had some of our partners show up. Hope Credit Union was there. They were on the purple carpet because it was purple carpet for the rollout in Hollywood. So we had a purple carpet rollout. We did a live stream of the purple carpet where we interviewed some of our constituents and members and talked about how cool it was to be a part of this conference. And if you didn't know, we had just we had just admitted the University of Virgin Islands. And I had gone on the visit there to do their press conference and for us to make the announcement. Now, what I didn't realize was that the University of Virgin Islands is in the mountains. So I'm like having this whole epiphany, like, oh my gosh, we have our Jabari tribe now. We got the tribe in the mountains. Because when you fly into the airport, the University of Virgin Islands is sitting up to your left, and to the right is the resort and other mountains. So it was really this cool thing. And so you could start seeing the membership starting to get mobilized around, how do we really capture the essence of the HBCU experience, who we are, in our brand name. So that's we eventually got to our point where we had a couple of names, got down to HBCU Athletic Conference. Thought it was going to be really bold. Like we knew people would look and say what? So we knew that would happen. And it was super, super, super cool. So yeah, that's kind of like, I would say, how we got to that point. It was amazing. It's been really exciting. We've had great positive feedback from the community. And we are really, 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 really excited about what we are continuing to move forward with in terms of the brand rollout. I'm looking in the comments and I see a question. Can you talk about how the conference embodies Black excellence and a thriving winning culture? Yeah, so thanks for the question, Danny. So the other part of this, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I hadn't gotten to the tagline, but yes, you just threw me an assist and I'm going to dunk it. So exciting. Part of it was, okay, now we need a name. We've got a name. We've approved the name. And the other part of that is, like, what is the platform of how we will tell our stories? Because part of, from a business standpoint in building this organization, is that we have to also think about how we can partner with like-minded organizations to build the financial sustainability of the institution. Welcome back, Keisha. And so,
thank you for holding it down.
You back. So our tagline as part of the brand was "Where Winners Thrive," because as we thought about it, like, who doesn't want to be connected to a winner? And when you think about HBCUs in general, that we can tell tons of stories about how people are winning. Keisha is an example of that, a graduate of Southern University at Baton Rouge, has established her own platform as a woman in sport. doing amazing things. She is truly a winner. And I would say that HBCUs in general are the place where winners thrive. Now, I would say our conference specifically is the place where the real winners thrive. So we're going to say Southern University of New Orleans is a part of that. But it would be an opportunity for us, again, to be able to open the door for us to have more sustainable partnerships that would financially help the conference to solidify its standing as we move forward to the future. So we're really excited about having the opportunity now to tell stories about our student athletes, about our alumni, about our coaches, our athletic directors, our presidents. Like, there's so many things that members of this community are doing, and they're winning in life. And so the HBCU Athletic Conference, where winners thrive, is what this is all about. And we are looking for all kinds of partners that will help us financially get this thing moving forward so that our schools truly can continue to do the work in producing winners who are thriving.
I'm scared to say something. I'm scared it might freeze or cut off if I say something. So
Oh, you was very clear right there. We back.
I appreciate you and Danielle keeping it going. I was like, this is just gonna be just not gonna let me finish. This is the part of the story that I was looking forward to. The name changed, the hashtag, and it was like, nah, we ain't just let you hear it. You gonna have to hear it on the second go round. But when I clicked back in, I was like, oh, she telling the story. I'm just like, well, dang, that's the part of the story that I wanted to hear the most. And then here it comes, just doing what it wanted to do. It just wanted to do what it wanted.
God.
Hey, exactly. I was like, I'm gonna have to just go into replay and just hear what it said. It don't, Jared, it don't want me to be great. It's okay. I can go into replay. I can always go into replay. But what are you looking forward to with the conference in the coming of the years? Where do you see this conference in 5 to 10 years?
Oh, let me tell you something. Giving money to my schools, that and it's going to be quicker than 5 years. I can tell you that. The opportunity for us, a HBCU conference, to be able to give money back to help our schools sustain themselves is what this is all about, at least for me. One of the struggles that I think small private HBCUs, well, let me just say this. The problem that everybody have other than the Power Five is trying to figure out a financial sustainability model that makes sense for higher education. The SEC figured out how to monetize, and they figured it out. But I will tell you, I don't know about what nobody else doing. In 3 years, we cutting checks back to my schools. And that if the conference can't do that, then why are we here? Like, what is the point? We have to figure out how to financially sustain these institutions where it is not taking away from resources.
Correct.
And so I see my role, and I would say, with the unique experiences that I've had from being on campus for over 25 years, started as a coach and then moved to an administrator. 2 of my years, I was a dorm lady. So I've ran dorms. I've run dorms. Like, I taught classes. I've been a professor. Like, so that, and then my role as athletic director and my longest tenure at Dillard, I worked really collaboratively with enrollment management, alumni affairs. The event we used to do, Blue Devil Classic, was a collaborative effort of alumni affairs, enrollment management, and we worked together to pool the small resources that we had to do a major event. So I see the same concept happening for us as a conference. So for 2 of our championships, we host an enrollment management fair. What I'm saying is, well, if you don't have money, and so if you spend some time talking to some of our schools about communications departments or marketing and communications, you would hear people say things like, oh, we don't have no budget to pay for no ads. We don't have no budget for that. And so I'm saying to them, the conference it's like a megaphone. So when I'm going into cities, I'm on everybody want to talk to the commissioner. So I'm like, well, if you utilize, if the conference office positions itself to
Right.
be that megaphone, so when I
Hmm.
go to speak, I'm not speaking about just no games. I'm like, well, have you heard about my institution and what we do? We're having this nice admissions fair. We have enrollment people who are going to be here. You get to
Mm.
kill two birds with one stone. So we
Correct.
are brand building, not just for the conference, but for each individual institution. So
Yeah.
collectively, when you think about it, it's like now athletics makes sense. It's not this thing that's taking all this money away from the academic people. And the reason we ain't got no money is because they keep giving that money to the sports. Well, no, 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 no. Because you're not on the road in these spaces and nobody wants to talk to the person that's doing some research on some plant um, that nobody will ever know about. Not that it's not important. It's just not news.
Right.
But
Right.
when a team shows up, it's news, which means that that's views and that's an opportunity for you, for the institution to brand build, right? And
Right.
so, as for my role as a commissioner, and in the way that I envision this working, it's one where I'm figuring out how to collaborate with all the offices within my member institutions to create the greatest impact as we share resources, and everybody can win because everybody can't take all the everybody can't have all the students. That ain't possible. But if we utilize now this marketing budget from this city we're working with, and we can continue to broadcast about my institutions, and my institutions don't have to pay for ads, come on. What are we doing, right? So
Right.
from a strategy perspective, that's one, because tuition for our schools is our largest revenue source. When we
Hmm.
don't get students, budgets get cut. Period. It's not a value. It's not. This is dollars and cents. So people
Hmm.
talk about stuff that don't make sense. Oh, we need to have this, we need to have that. I'll be like, and then who gonna pay for it? So because if tuition is your number one revenue
Correct.
source, you're telling me that you want me to raise tuition for the people who can't already afford to be here.
Right. Right. Right.
I mean, it's like some of this is logical. Like you have no
Correct.
understanding of what is happening on campus. So yeah, we would love to have the biggest, the newest facilities, but on whose back?
Yeah. Yeah. Because then now you're in the red because you won't. It does not, and this is why I always look at, even when, even during basketball season, interviewing Tall, interviewing Maya, having these conversations, you got some gems over in that
Oh yeah.
conference.
Oh
You
yeah.
got some gems in that conference
Oh, we have them.
that people, I'm like, you just gotta tune in.
Gotta tune
You
in. Y'all
gotta
gotta help us
tune.
get our views up so we can get more money. Come
Like, you
on.
gotta tune into this conference and see the great things that are going on.
Yes.
And even being able to participate in the baseball, y'all, commissioner threw the first pitch out. She threw the first pitch.
You can tell I ain't play baseball.
She threw the first pitch out, y'all. She threw the first pitch out. It's okay. They all ADs, commissioners, that's what they let y'all do.
They would
But
have done better asking me to do a cheer.
but being able, to be in that space and see the conference, and just even, oh my God, to see that game was
So we
it
got
I
great
did.
people in competitive squads.
Yeah,
Like it's
it's
legit
there.
over here.
And for people, and I've never been to that, was it, it's Dillard and Xavier, right? Is that the basketball, Dillard and Xavier?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
and I've
I
heard
don't know
so
if they're
much.
doing that anymore. That was during that time. I mean, when I was there, I don't know if they've continued that, but
I
when I
remember
was
they
there,
used
that
to
Blue
talk
Level
about it.
Classic was on 100.
Yeah, I remember
Woo!
them talking about it all the time. They was like, "You got to get out here for a Dillard and Xavier." They used to talk about it all the time. Like that, I guess that was like the basketball game. That was like their like the version of football. But they used to
Yeah.
talk about that all the time. That was the hot
I
thing
called
to
it the
do.
Bayou Classic of basketball.
Yep, the Bayou Classic of
The Bayou
basketball. It
Classic of
was,
basketball. That was how we developed it. Like it's gonna be the
yeah,
Bayou Classic of basketball. Alumni was like, I need the dates a year ahead of time. Like they was planning they little functions around this opportunity to relive that moment in the same way. And I mean, again, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. We did the Hall of Fame during that week. We established that in 2018. Like it was just Man, it was magic, and it was magic because we had a lot of great people like that just all poured in and helped us to kind of bring all that to fruition. But we can do that on a grander scale now
Mhm.
from a conference standpoint
Right.
with just taking the steps, to talk with the right people, bring the right people to the table, selling the vision. That's part of the work I have to do. I have to show them the model and show how it can benefit them, which of course is what I do. Like, yeah, this is what I was created to do. And then working with a great team of people to help bring those things to fruition.
And it's good when you have a great team and people that can actually see your vision and they're aligned with the vision. It makes it so much easier. It makes it so much better. And then we always have to remember that at the center is the student athlete. That a lot of times we forget the most important person at the center is the student athlete because other things come into play. Now, I know one of your major things that I know I'm attracted to is your mentorship. So attracted to the mentoring component that you have. It's like one of the that's one of, I think one of the major things that I see you do is the mentoring. Talk about that mentoring component that you do. I know.
Man, so I will tell you, I'm trying to revamp the program right now because my life is different.
Mhm.
When I was on a campus, I was more accessible, and I had students who were around me all the time. So it was mentorship is easy. It's the way I move. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a way of
Mhm.
life. I've been mentoring since I was probably in high school. I always
Okay.
had somebody I was helping. Like I said, so mentor to me is like breathing, but trying to really formulate the program in a better way now that I'm not as accessible. Like, I will say this new level about being commissioner is my level of accessibility is
Mhm.
so much different
Mhm.
than it was as AD. Um, I'm having to do a lot of business. So I'm in a lot of business spaces and I'm like, golly, and I'm super tired. So where's the time for me to actually personally mentor? So I haven't had in the last couple of years as much of the time doing the individual mentorship. But what I've been trying to figure out is how to revamp the model in a way that I can start connecting them with the network that I've built. And I think that is the next step in the mentorship program. That was when I thought about it, I was like, if there were a network of Black and brown women that young women could connect with, that was kind of the overall vision in the first place. Now just trying to figure out how I'm going to actually actualize that over the next couple of years. But I will say it was I started to take action on that in 2018. And the reason I took the action at that time was because I think I was the only woman athletic director in the state of Louisiana. I think we have like 20, 24 colleges in the state of Louisiana. And one woman in 2018, I was like, man, come on. And it was the lady who was doing my hair was the one talking about, girl, I was just bragging on you, telling everybody you was the only woman athletic director in the whole Southeast. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, I got colleagues in Georgia. I got people all over.
Right.
Maybe so it was like, oh, well, in the state of Louisiana, yes, but not in the Southeast. That's not correct information. But it was that conversation that said, man, I need to do something about this because
Mhm.
this ain't it, right? This ain't it. And so I started my first program, So You Want to Career in Athletics, where I invited local young ladies and some of my sister colleagues in the industry to come and start to
Mhm.
share their knowledge. And we did that for 3-4 years. Then I did partnerships with the Pelicans, and CBS, Final Four. Like, I mean, we've done amazing things already. But I'm hoping to level that up even more. So we're going to get there. It's amazing. I think we have an obligation to share the knowledge that we have and to start to prepare the next generation. I don't know if everybody always feels that call. I feel like I understand my particular path and what I'm
Mhm.
supposed to do. And so I just feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm one of the only ones that can. Not
Right.
the only, but one of a group of people that can do it. So I need to get it done. So It's been amazing. I love young people. I there's nothing I've been able to accomplish and didn't have some young people around who were providing counsel and guidance.
And I do. I think it is. It's completely up to us to pour into that next generation. It's so, and then I look at it, I was like, it's so many opportunities that I didn't get. But I always say, eventually I'm gonna have to sit down. So when we sit down, who's coming after
Yeah,
us? It's
yeah.
it's a whole nother. And I just look at so many. I met a young lady on Saturday when I was speaking on this panel, and she was from Grambling, and she undergrad Grambling, getting a master's at Grambling, and she went to Arabia here in Atlanta. And it's so funny because we were in this group meet chat or something for like black sports in Atlanta, or some black women in sports in Atlanta. And she said, I'm coming. I hope I get to meet you. And of
Oh,
course, as we're on the platform talking, I'm talking about Southern. And she said, I heard you say Southern. And at that moment, I knew, I said, you're Graham fam, right? And so after that, she came to talk to me. Now, see, I'm a big crybaby. So it's like all the emotions, because it's like you actually get to connect with somebody that, they're 20 something years younger than you. And you're like, whatever you can do to put them in any space, wherever, mentor and bring them on a media day or whatever, so they can see what that actually looks like. I was like, I'm always for it. And it makes it so much easier when it's somebody coming from an HBCU. It makes it so much easier when we're putting our own people in that space. And so many times we forget that somebody had to give us a chance.
yep.
It's like I was like, it's no point in gatekeeping and trying to keep people from them opportunities, because somebody had to give us a chance. And so I'm like, hey, she did. She gave me her resume. I was like, listen, wherever we can filter this to and put you at, we gonna try to help you out. But it was just that moment of
Yep.
seeing that. And so, just pouring back into young people.
Yeah.
So it's very important for us to give back. But I did. I do. I admire that. So you want a career in athletics, because a lot of people, they just know they want to go in athletics, but it's so many directions you can go. So many. And so when we see, AD, I ain't gonna lie, I had to watch a lot of what y'all do. I was like, wait, that's a different avenue. Wait, Dr. Barnes didn't introduce. Wait, like y'all, like I called y'all the crew earlier. I was like, they be introducing stuff. I'm like, wait, that's why I was like, where are you at now? I was like, because every time I look, I thought y'all were out of town again. I'm like, all right, wait, they're here and they're here and they're doing something different. So
Travel is a part of it. So I will say I didn't expect my travel to increase in the way that it did, but it's been a lot.
well, I know you're glad to be back home for like 2 more days.
Yes, I am very happy.
Before it's time to get back on and roll again. So before we close this segment out, I'm gonna give you the end of the interview is what I call hot seat. You don't have time to think about it. You just got to answer either or.
Okay.
It's either or. You can't think about it. It's just either or. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Jambalaya or etouffee?
Etouffee.
Crawfish or crab legs?
Neither.
Oh, Dr. Barnes, come on.
Crawfish if it's already peeled. I ain't peeling no crawfish and sucking no heads.
Oh, Lord. Drums or flats?
Flats.
Ranch or blue cheese?
Neither. Lemon. I don't eat dressing.
Then I know this one. Okay. Lemonade or sweet tea?
Lemonade.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Spring or fall?
Spring.
New York or California?
Cali.
City or country?
Country.
Final question. The best HBCU conference?
HBCU Athletic Conference, where winners thrive.
See, that went too bad. It went too bad.
That was easy.
Exactly. Normally for Atlanta, it'd be like, all right, Pepsi or Coke. I think I threw that on coach, and he was like, nah, wait a minute. Nope, I didn't. They're like, yeah, I want water. And I'm like, see,
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
That's easy for me, Coca-Cola, unless Pepsi become my sponsor, Pepsi.
You know what? And I think that's what some coach said. They was like, wait, we got to talk about who sponsors us. I think, and I said, you know what? That's smart. I didn't think of that. It was just a question for me. But he quickly said, I said, you know what, coach? I'm glad you understand. I'm glad you know where your sponsorship dollars are coming from and you
That's
putting
right.
them in that space. But that makes sense. So, Dr. Barnes, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I want to thank you so much for sitting down. Oh, this was so live. So, y'all, the first part of this segment has when you making a decision about where you going on Greek life has.
Where the Delta's at, that's all I'm saying.
Listen, if I post that part of the thing, my thing will go crazy for all your sorors. They'll be like, "Yep, this is it." That is so crazy.
Do
That is
what
so
needs
crazy.
to
But
be
like I
look,
said,
do what needs to be done. I'm just saying, this is very simple for me.
people just don't know. People pick their colleges for whatever reason that they choose them. And this is I feel like this is like a moment that I didn't know about, but it's a great moment. But again, I do appreciate you for joining me tonight. I do appreciate you for sitting down, sharing your stories. I know you got the coach's respect after you done went out there and did all that great stuff. I hope after 31 years you finally get over the loss to the other high school
I
team.
ain't never getting over it.
I had to dig down and bring it back up, opening up wounds. I do apologize.
It's okay.
I
I
do
forgive you.
apologize, but it has been wonderful. Please continue to keep doing what you're doing, being an amazing person, amazing commissioner, more so an amazing woman with a heart of gold pouring into so many young people. And oh my God, being in essence and all these secret things, we might look up and, you might be up there with the president of the United States. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, I didn't know that. They didn't tell me that. They just told me to get my bags ready. And here I am.
Bam. You
we,
just never know.
we were like, remember that day we had that interview and you said, but thank you so much, Dr. Barnes. Safe travels to wherever you're headed to next and enjoy yourself. Please have some fun, relax, and do all the great, wonderful things that you would like to do. And have a great evening.
Thank you. I appreciate the time and continue to inspire and do you.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes.
Bye.
Right. Good night.